Good evening and welcome to the June meeting of the Board of Trustees for the Penfield Public Library. Meeting will now come to order. Welcome to everyone who's watching and those who are in attendance, whether here in person or on Zoom. And this is a first for us. For the first time this year, we have all of our board members in the same room at the same time, which is really quite exciting. The first order of business is the approval of the minutes. I assume you've all read them. Is there a motion for approval? Niraj?
I'll second.
Jennifer seconds. Thank you. Niraj, would you like to lead us through just the financial report right now?
Sure. So I wrote this ahead of time, so I'm just going to read through my little thing. We're going to go right to the monthly balance sheet. The monthly balance sheet gives us like a snapshot of how we're coming in on revenues and expenditure. And as of June, we're doing pretty good. As of May, this is actually numbers from May. We're doing pretty good. Gift and Memorial Fund, that's the second part of that page. One thing that we should mention, I think this is missing the Canandaigua National Bank money because right now it's just showing the $98,000. If we add the Canandaigua, then the current value is more like $160,000, which makes sense because we have to be above the 140. So that's why I don't think we can rely right now on this. We need to follow up with the bookkeeper.
Okay. I thought that was in there.
Yeah, I have one
This
that
says
has
current
both.
value is 160.
So I just
An
had
addendum. Did she
something,
send us
maybe she
a
sent
new
an
one?
addendum
I think she
afterwards.
sent
I think so.
Yeah,
Which
It's
I-
hard to tell when they don't come in all together.
Yes.
I think
Okay.
she did.
So that's
I
good.
remember seeing that.
So it's all good.
But she
The
sent
budget-
the statement that said gift and memorial, and it's got both accounts on here.
Right, on that statement it does, but not on that one sheet
Okay.
before. So anyways, I didn't print out the budget summary sheet, but I do have my text on there. This was a kind of funny month, because if you remember last month, we were coming in right on schedule and everything, but this month, 5 months into the year, that's 42% of the year. So that's kind of like the number that we're trying to guide ourselves with. And a lot of the numbers are coming in slower, like the expenses are coming in slower than the run rate, that 42%. So it's a good variance. Like, I mean, we're not spending as much as we budgeted, but it's kind of funny. I was just wondering why that was happening. Total actual expenses are coming in at 33% of budget, which is the top line, and that's lower than the 42%. The largest component, which I like to focus on, is the personnel. The wages and salaries is coming in at 31%. Again, 42% is the threshold. Materials is a huge expense of ours, and that's a controllable expense. That's at 34%. And contractuals are at 36%. These are all controllable expenses. The other ones are less controllable, like Social Security, workers' comp, so I don't really look at that much as much, but those are also coming in a little less. So that's kind of the biggest takeaway from here. Another thing on the revenue side, property taxes have not hit our account. This is my first year as the finance person, so I'm not sure when property taxes are going to hit our account, and that's the largest revenue item, so it's a little hard to analyze it without property taxes. That's pretty much it.
Bunny, would you like to comment on that, any of that?
No.
Okay. Do we have a motion to accept the finance report? Brett, thank you. And Melissa will second. Okay. Public participation, this meeting is being broadcast on Penfield TV. And we do not have any communications that I'm aware of. Linda, Would you like to give the town liaison report?
Sure. Hi, everybody. One of these days I'll get in there too. Just thinking it's awfully crowded, isn't it, in your room? But we heard from the governor today about the 70% vaccination, and that might change things up. But I'm not sure yet how it's going to affect the town. But one of the things the town is doing is about the parade, but the parade is going to be on the 3rd. But we're also going to have fireworks now at night. We're not going to have all the party atmosphere of having bands and concessions and stuff. We decided instead we'll just concentrate on the fireworks, because if we offered everything, we'd probably have a zoo, a lot of people there, and we want to have it manageable for our first time out after COVID, So people can park in Wegmans and all around, but they can't park at Harris Whalen Park or the school. They can walk over with coolers and whatever and sit from their chairs. There'll be a lot of room to watch the fireworks, but we're not going to have the big party atmosphere. But nonetheless, this is the beginning and something to look forward to. We have a concert tonight. You guys probably saw set up at the amphitheater. The jazz concert's taking place tonight. So things are moving forward. As far as different things within the town, we have we put out Bergman Associates are going to do an analysis of the Clark House from all avenues. The foundation, the mold remediation, historic significance, to really get a clear understanding of where that Clark House is in the scheme of things, about possibilities of restoring it and working with others about that. So that was last week. 2 weeks ago we voted on that. We have a real short agenda tomorrow night. The one thing that's a restaurant kind of thing that's interesting is Bistro, that's been closed for a bit at the Four Corners. We're setting a public hearing for restaurants to go in there. Lentos, that's downtown in Village Gate, they're putting an application to go forward to be the restaurant in that building, which is exciting.
That's a good one.
More revitalization at the restaurants, after COVID, the better. I don't know, I think that's about it. I mean, it's summertime, so, it's budget season, and Tony and Brochure will start meeting with all our staff, if they haven't already, about, getting the budget together for us for September. Anybody have any questions?
Any questions for Linda?
We're still contact tracing at the library and here. Do you know when that they're going to kind
Don't know.
of fade that out?
I don't know. That's what I'm hoping. I think it's this is great news, what we heard today from the governor. So this may be the beginning. We'll get more of that information probably in the next few days.
Just
But
curious.
yeah, I mean, they said, well, I'm watching the news tonight, and they were talking about temperature checks and so on. You don't need to do it any longer. But like libraries and schools, they're in a different realm. Public facilities are as well. So we'll see how that pans out. I'm hopeful things will open up and it'll be a lot easier for all of us to get into the library and into the town hall and so on like that. But
Linda, that's a
it's
town,
good news.
that's a town decision though, not a state decision, right?
No, that's not us. It's that's the state.
But can you go into other libraries without doing the contact tracing now?
Oh, I don't know about that part of it all. My understanding is, I can't really speak too clearly on that. The State Board of Education oversees libraries and schools, right? And so you have to abide by, Tony knows this, you have to abide by the standards that they set, right? And it's not the town, it doesn't have the final say on that. But the tracing into the library, I don't know. I don't know when we're going to take down the iPads in at the town hall. I'm not sure. I think it's all a matter of as things open up and there's more comfort. But I can't tell you. Maybe the town does have jurisdiction on that end of it. I know.
I just
Before
know
every town board meeting, Tony always reads the statement that we're doing these meetings like we are due to the governor having his expressed that we have to do this. We have to have the Zoom meetings and even if we're all there, you still gotta have it on Zoom, and the ability for the public and so on to come on to Zoom to see everyone and to make their thoughts known. I mean, that's coming from above. Yeah, so I can't give you a clear, I'll probably learn more tomorrow night at my Wednesday night meeting in person and on Zoom.
Okay. Any other questions for Linda? Thank you very much, Linda. And we have a guest with us this evening. It's Peggy O'Neill, one of our librarians. And Peggy is going to talk to us briefly about her role and how she goes about it and how long she's been at the library, et cetera, et cetera. So welcome, Peggy.
Thank you, Barbara, and all the members of the library board. I'm glad to be here tonight to offer a little bit of perspective on my years at Penfield. I'll give you a little bit of background on myself. I'm a native Rochesterian, except when I went to college down near New York City. I've been a Pittsburgh resident for 42 years, and then since December of 18, moved to Brighton. I was educated at Mercy High School. I attended the College of New Rochelle, earning a BA in Classics, and obtained a Master of Library Science from SUNY Geneseo on a Friends of Rochester Public Library scholarship. Few things about activities. I like to travel to see family. I've done several pilgrimages to Lourdes, Fatima, and Rome. One of my passions is to walk every evening about 9 o'clock. I'm a night walker. I'm pretty active in my church, St. Louis, doing a lot of things for at church, both for homebound and visiting people in assisted living facilities. Right now, I'm working on setting up our church library with a couple of other librarians. I've enjoyed watching British TV series, Downton Abbey, and many of the Saturday night PBS shows, Are You Being Served, As You Like It. My husband was British, and I got married for the first time in 2000, so I got to, my husband was from Huddersfield, so we had a British accent, so we used to watch very faithfully all of these shows. And we were together for almost 10 years, so then he passed. My reading interests are, I enjoy reading biographies of religious figures and about royalty. I'm interested in a lot of self-help books, especially decluttering and organizing, and I think Bunny can probably attest to that I do need to work on that. So I'm still trying to do that. I'm involved in, I like to read Irish history and then read a lot of the political biographies and watch the political shows. Professionally, I have been a librarian since August 30th, 1971. I've had 14 years at RPL, both in education and religion, the Literature and Recreation Department, and Central Library Administration the last 2 years. And then I came to Penfield on January 6, 1986 as the Adult Services Publicity Librarian. So I've been here about 35 years. I also sub at Pittsburgh Community Library from September of 2000 to the present on Sundays, about once a month or once every couple months. And I did sub at Rochester Public Library as a Sunday sub from September 1998 through December 2017 when that ended. My responsibilities here at the library, besides reference work, is adult programming primarily, and there I really have kind of found my niche. I enjoy sponsoring all types of programs from travelogues to more serious type topics, diversity, democracy, politics. We do the Great Decisions program. We've been doing that since long before I came. The last few years, we were able to obtain several grants from Humanities New York for the Muslim Journeys program, the James Baldwin's America, Democracy in America, and Votes for Women. And we had professors from various area colleges conduct those, and they were very successful. I have been doing some co-sponsoring of programs with other libraries. For example, Pittsburgh Library and Penfield did Color Penfield Green and Color Pittsburgh Green. We did a 4-part series back a few months ago, and that was very successful. We had Steve Fentress, the director of the planetarium, do Exploring Mars right after Perseverance had landed on Mars. That attracted a good number of people. We've done programs on gardening, birding, growing mushrooms, variety of, so we're always open to suggestions from people. I am responsible for the literacy collection here at Penfield Library. We began that around 2015. Previously, we had the Russian language collection, which we established in 1987. Bunny and I were considering, we reevaluated it and found out that it was not as successful, so we transferred that collection of the Russian language books to Witten Branch, which had a large collection, and developed the literacy collection. That particular collection is used primarily to help with academic assignments on such topics as social issues, political policy, historical figures, STEM, and environment and habitat. We have some duplicate titles that we might have in the children's area, but if, for example, they can't find it there and they remember to check the literacy collection, it has really been helpful to patrons who are learning English for the first time. I use tools such as Baker and Taylor, Abdo, Ingram, Scholastic, and Steck Bond, various publishers, to select books for that. We try to monitor how frequently they're being used, and if they are not, we kind of change the size of the collection. I'm also responsible for periodicals, of which we have over 200, and in order to select those, we usually check the reference log to see what people are requesting. We can browse the magazine shelves at area stores and Barnes & Noble for new titles, and we do try to take suggestions. It's something that sometimes if only 1 or 2 people want it, it's very expensive. We have to evaluate if it's worth getting. In addition to those 2 areas, I also have been volunteer coordinator for a number of years. Right now with the COVID pandemic and with things stopping, we have not had volunteers in the library since March of last year. We hope at some point possibly to restore them, but many of the people are in fragile condition, and they may not really want to come back to the library when we allow that. So Bunny and I will reevaluate that. Let's see. I have also an area of special services for seniors and for other people. I'm just the liaison for the New York State Talking Book Library and Braille Library through the Braille and Audio Reading Download program. I just went to a workshop at Webster Library the other day to get an idea of how we could publicize that a bit more. We do have a portable video magnifier here that people can use to enlarge the typeface of what they're reading. We selected the Mark Cart, which people use to carry their materials throughout the library, and to, if they have difficulty walking, at being able to manipulate through the library. And then in 2021, just recently, I became the liaison to the Hearing Loss Association of America, the Rochester chapter. And I've been involved with some of their programming that they're doing, and I hope to do a bit more with them. I also did the publicity for the annual report that we have every year. This year we did change it because since we... Yeah. Yeah, so we have, that's one that will be distributed. Let's see if there's, okay. And I think that's pretty much it right now. Unless anybody has any questions at all, I'd be happy to answer that. And again, I want to thank Bunny for all of her support over the years. Bunny and I have known one another when we were both at Rochester Public Library, and I I still remember when Bunny was training me in the Business and Social Science Division one evening after I think I had left here at Penfield. And what a marvelous training. I think, Bunny, it was about 3 hours, and I think we probably continued for like 2 hours and 55 minutes without her taking a breath as she took me around. She is just wonderful with that. And one thing I said, I must say, of all the library directors, I've never known anyone who's on the reference desk and really supports the staff more than Bunny. She's been wonderful to us. And I said many libraries that I'm familiar with either have worked in or, have colleagues, you'll say is your director on the reference desk. And that does not happen very often, but here at Penfield. And we're really very appreciative of Bunny's efforts for us. And during the summertime, she does work our Saturday schedule, which is very wonderful for that. We really appreciate that. Thank you, Bunny.
Does anyone have any
I don't think there's
questions
anything else
for?
unless there's if anybody has any questions. And well, I might just mention one thing. I was page supervisor, and one of my best pages was Niraj. Way back. In fact, I think he still calls me
Yes.
Miss O'Neill.
So
But
Thank
that
you,
goes back,
Peggy.
I know, I said.
yeah, I still remember you like from my first library card and from when I was too nervous to ask for an application, so then my mom had a rapport with you, and so then I think I got the inside track with
Right.
Mrs. Smith.
Yeah, I remember your mom used to
Yeah.
bring you and your brother. I know.
Yes, and so then I
Yeah,
think
I've
I
been
had the
here a
inside
long
track
time,
with
seen a
Mrs.
lot
Smith.
of families come and go
Yeah,
and grow up, and their children, may become future pages here.
yeah, or future board members.
Yes.
Future board members, you're right.
Future board members, exactly. Thank you very much, Peggy. That was
Thank you.
really very
Thank you.
helpful. And
Thank
we
you very
really
much. And
appreciate your
I
time.
enjoy seeing all of you when you come in. Thank you.
Thank you. We are going to switch gears here and go to our committee reports. And the first one is going to be finance. And we have some payments to authorize, which I would like to go through. The first one is to sign language. And for those of you who have not seen it, the old library sign with the gold letters that was originally on the library that was on 5 Mile Line Road has been completely redone. They re-gilded the letters, and it looks quite lovely. I'm not sure what we're going to do with it, but they really did a wonderful job. They also did a wonderful job with the sign. It's a square sign on a plastic substrate that is over the book drop, and we have a bill for that. The total is $655. The redo of the library sign with the gold letters is $395, and the square plastic sign with our new logo on it for the book drop is $260. So do I have a motion to pay that bill? Thank you, Niraj. Seconded by Rachel. The second bill we have is $250 for Daniel Finkelstein, who did photography of the staff members who came to have their photos taken. Do I have a, Jen and Niraj seconded? Okay. The third is not really a bill, but just so we are aware, we had talked about having lighting put on the sign, and Melissa and I met with Jim Kreckman from the town and Eric Tate, and where the top of the sign is, there's a piece of metal, and they're going to have a little cover come out and then a strip of LED lights that goes under there. And they are working with Crown Electric, and the bill for that is approximately $476. I've said that they could go ahead and spend that, but this isn't a bill, so we'll have to wait until that comes in before we pay it. And the other thing we have is our budget discussion.
Right.
Do we need to say anything about that Friends check that I'm gonna be sign, or
No.
nothing, right? Okay,
No.
okay. So the budget, yeah, so do you want me to talk about the budget a little, or? Or
Yes,
does
you
Penny
want,
want to talk
we
about
had,
the budget?
you sent us
Yeah.
an email, and I think it went to,
Several.
Yeah,
well,
so,
the one that says the 2022 budget directions.
yeah, so we got a submission of our budget, on June 10th. That was the first date that we saw it, and then we kind of reviewed it with the board members, saw where we wanted new monies to be budgeted. So then just recently, today, this afternoon, Bunny submitted another budget. The budget shows 3.9% increase from last year's revised, or no, now it's like a 2.8% increase from last,
None of us have seen this
it was forwarded by Bunny.
this afternoon.
Today,
Yeah.
Yep, 5 o'clock, I think.
At
is
5
when
o'clock,
she
I'm
sent.
sorry, I turned off
Yeah,
my
506,
computer.
but generally speaking, all of our requests was put in, the 10,000, the training, the facilities, the board facilities, and the programming. The cost of living increase that, I was thinking that it was gonna be a separate line item that was gonna be added to the, total personnel cost. It seemed like it was backed out of, it seemed like it was already included. I'm not sure, so that's something that we need to double check with Bunny, because
Bunny,
basic-
would you like to talk about that? Is there a cost of living increase in the budget? You're muted, Bunny. Bunny, you're muted.
It looks like she's.
Yeah.
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 I know my space bar isn't working to unmute. Yes, there's a separate line in the budget for cost of living increases.
So,
Oh, there it is.
my question was, really, if the total personnel expense that I saw in the old budget of June 10th is equal, roughly the same as the one that was in the most recent budget, that means that you did include a cost of living increase in your old version? Is that,
Yes,
okay. So I just wanted to double check. So she included a cost of living increase before, and so what we asked was, hey, could you make sure that there's a cost of living increase, and could you spell it out in a different line item? So she
Yes.
went ahead. So that was good, and all of our requests has been included. Prior to these requests, the budget increase from last year was 1.9%. Now it's about 2.8%. So it's pretty modest, but we have explanations. That's pretty much it.
And Bunny, what are you hoping that we will do? Are you hoping that we are going to recommend this budget as revised? And so you can take that to the town? And when?
yeah.
Do you have an appointment yet? Or a meeting?
Tony said something about that had been arranged, but I haven't seen an appointment from Lisa yet setting me up.
So when,
Well, when you do
So
get,
the answer is no. I'm not aware of an appointment yet.
so you may have one, but nobody's told you about it.
I'll certainly have one. I just don't know when they've scheduled me.
Well, when they do, would you please let me know, and we'll see. I think probably Niraj and I will come along. And, I think it's better to have some board members with you when you do that.
Yes.
Okay. Rachel, do you have anything you'd like to say about personnel?
Just that we finished compiling all of the director's evaluation forms, and we'll have an executive session immediately following this meeting to discuss.
Thank you. Strategic planning.
So Judy and Megan and I spoke a couple weeks ago trying to figure out how we're going to distribute the survey. And our biggest hurdle right now is trying to figure out how to create the survey because we thought the town had a SurveyMonkey account, but it turns out they don't. And to our knowledge, it doesn't seem like anybody else in the library has one. So Dave Runner suggested using Google Forms, which I'm not.
And Bunny also
Particularly.
suggested that also.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with it, but both Bunny and Dave said that it was a very viable source. It, though, evaluates by household, and so we had a couple questions as opposed to individuals.
Right.
Is that like a mock form? MACH?
I have no idea about it.
Yeah.
Barbara, I don't know.
Does anybody else?
I've had a
use Google
course in
Forms?
that.
Have you? Okay, well then you should probably come with us.
I've used Google Forms, but I don't know what a mock form is.
I think it's probably the same thing, but it's not affiliated with Google.
Okay.
So
Google
we
Forms are pretty
can,
easy.
I mean, we can look into the Google Forms. Dave suggested working with Miriam on that. Does she use that frequently, Bunny?
Not to my, I'm sorry, I keep losing my video. Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
I've used it a little. We've used it for surveys before.
Well, I wonder what the cost is for just getting, because I think SurveyMonkey, I think people are probably more, like, it's one thing for us to know how, which I have no idea how to use Google Form, and I'm not on the committee,
Yeah.
so I don't care. So, but if I was a user and I wanted to do the survey, I think SurveyMonkey, people have seen it for a while, and they
Yeah.
wonder what the
It's-
cost is.
Well,
It
it's
can't-
$30 a month if you want an account.
For one person, one administrator.
No, that's,
And you
$30
have to
no,
buy, you have to buy it for a year.
yeah, $30 a month for a year, and you get up to 5,000 responses and unlimited administrators and questions.
All right, that's the one.
Which is, $30 a month isn't that
No.
much, but we're doing one survey, and it just seems like.
But I mean, like, we can offer it to the town, like, you know, sometimes you could do something and you can offer it up, and if you offer it up, say that, hey, we got this, and that's probably not a bad thing to say, hey, you know what, the library spent this, hey, Penn Rec, do you need to do a survey? Do you need, and that could be like an olive branch to,
I think that could be a good idea. We'll have to look into that.
and it's not a,
The
I mean, our
Google
budget.
thing, I'm concerned with, because like Google Docs, sometimes you
Yeah.
can't read them if you're not in a Google Doc. And
I was
all-
wondering about if you had to have a Google, like, email address, like a Gmail account or something in order to open them. I'm not sure if that is the
According to
case.
Dave, you do not.
Oh, okay.
That
They're
it
really
will go
easy to
across
create.
platforms, but
They're
I
very
don't
easy
know.
to create, and they
I
give you a
don't
lot
really have any
of choices
experience.
and what kind of questions you have, and features such, like if you ask for a specific, if you ask a question and then it could be, if the answer is yes, you go to this such and such question. If the answer is no,
Okay.
you go to a different question. So
Yeah.
it's really, it really is.
It's good,
very-
it's
very
powerful.
responsive and
Okay.
powerful. And then
Yes.
there are data analysis parts as well.
Well, we
So
can.
I just wasn't sure
Well,
if
I
you
think
had to
try
have some
mocking
sort
it
of
up in
account to
there
get
and
in
at
it.
least see how it looks and how it
And see
functions.
if somebody can get it, because
The
there
town
have been
used-
jobs that I've had where I've received Google Docs and tried to open them, and they've been,
Oh, Google Forms?
no, they haven't been forms, they were just written material, and I couldn't read it. It was in gibberish.
Oh.
And it's not how it was sent. but-
Forms are, forms are a little
It's
bit
probably
different than
different, yeah.
docs.
I
Things are
think
different,
docs
yeah.
is probably just a transferring of formatting, probably is what you're.
But whatever it
referring
is,
to.
it's not easy, and we want something that people will look at, and they're
And do
not
it.
trying to
Yeah.
figure it out.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if someone sees a link, and if you say, hey, this is SurveyMonkey, just the title.
Yeah.
SurveyMonkey means like even a monkey can do it, man. I mean, it's like, I mean, even I can do it.
Evidently,
Like, but like
the
Google.
town had one,
Yeah.
and they really do not have a use for it, so they gave it up.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just saying.
I'm just saying that's what we were
$360
told.
isn't blowing any line. I mean, we see the budget right now.
Yeah.
$360 is nothing. Even if we use it for one survey, we get way more value than $360 not learning another thing, and having something saying, like, for end users, like elderly people and novice people and people that don't know technology, even though I'm Indian, it's kind of, having it titled Survey Monkey is kind of like huge, instead of saying, go on Google and getting scared. That's my opinion. So that's
Okay.
$360 is not anything.
Just to say, it really is easy on Google Forms too. So, and it is a link that
Oh, it
you
is.
go, and so
Yeah.
you get the link to it, and it just comes up on Forms. So, it is
We
pretty.
can try mocking it up then. I mean,
It's
if
pretty
that-
easy.
If I
So
can
we
do
might
it,
want.
Yeah,
then
okay.
I think we
anybody can
can
do it.
run our own
Yeah.
control, make a simple
Yeah,
survey,
right.
send it to all of us, everybody
That's a
try
good
it on
one.
your own device, so
And
that
if
we
it
have a
doesn't
variety
work
of things and
easily, then
see.
we look at those.
Yeah, that's a good
survey
idea, because they are, I mean, it is
And it
pretty
might be easier to,
user-friendly.
it might be easier to like input email addresses or whatever, because if it is powered by
Google,
Google, it
yeah.
might be
Well,
more.
we'll just have to see. We aren't going to be inputting any addresses.
That's right.
The other thing, we reached out to various places about where we can promote the link. And I spoke with Andrew Erkfitz from the Rec Center. He said we're welcome to add anything to the library's page and their brochure at any time. The library always has one page in the brochure, but
Right.
we've chosen, I guess, not to use it the past year for whatever reason. I don't know if you want to explain why, Bunny, but there's always a page for the library, he said. And so if we want to promote the link there, he said that's fine. The deadline for the fall brochure is June 25th, so it's
That's
really
10
far in
days.
advance, yeah. He said they could maybe give us an extra, 2 weeks maybe, but they do try to get everything in, a couple months ahead of when they print it, so. So then the winter brochure deadline would be mid to late September.
And when
So-
does that come out?
And that comes out, he said, usually end of December, beginning of January, kind of after, I think it's after the new year. So, and then we talked with the town. Brian said the TV station can add it to the TV bulletin board.
Nice.
They can have hard copies at the town, on the town bulletin boards and at the rec center. What else? We talked about, social media, having the library posted on all of their social media pages.
I see at the end of Bunny's report where we place publicity placements, like the DNC, Penfield Post, Penny Saver, Kids Out and About. Would that be a place for our survey? I don't know, I'm just asking.
No, not, because we want people who are going to be in Penfield. I was thinking of PTA
We
organizations.
spoke with PTA.
The
Yep.
Organization for Parents of Children Who are Homeschooled. There is
Yeah.
a group of ministers who could put it in their church bulletins.
The PTA has there's someone in the library that I think already works or somehow sends communication to the Penfield PTAs. But if not, we have connections with, Jen and Rachel can give us the names of who to contact for the Penfield PTA. I can help with Webster. What else do we talk about? We emailed the YMCA to see if they would let us have hard copies at their checkout. They're not allowed to have any paper, anything out right now, but, that might be changing with the new guidelines, so they said possibly.
They're also willing to do, not particularly the Y, but if we did bookmarks with the QR
Yeah, with the
code
QR
on it,
code.
that's why I thought, one of these other areas might be a good way to disseminate our info.
We talked about emailing former trustees. What else? Tony can include it in his monthly supervisor column. And then, Bunny, we have a list of library patrons' email addresses that we thought we could utilize as well. So those were sort of the main ways we were thinking of distributing it. Anybody have anything else?
I think it sounds very thorough.
Okay, well, we'll try to
I think
get
our
it.
goal is to get as many people in the community as possible filling out the survey. And so we have a pretty good basis for making decisions.
Okay, we'll work on getting the link to you guys then to test out in Google Forms. We'll see how that goes, and then if it seems like it's not sufficient, then we can try SurveyMonkey, because Naresh said, it's not a huge cost.
Let me know if you want any help with the Google Forms, because I've used it for things before.
Okay, thank you.
It's pretty easy.
Be prepared for phone calls.
Okay, I'm good. Sure.
Megan, would you like to talk about the policies?
Yes, so there were two policies that were sent out this morning. They both should have looked pretty familiar. One is the cash handling policy, which we went over at our last meeting. There's just a few updates to that based on some clarifying questions that we had for Bunny during the meeting. But otherwise, that remained functionally the same. And then the other policy that was sent out that, to be revised is the staff identification policy that we approved a few months ago. We found out after the fact that there was a clause in there regarding withholding final paychecks that we are not able to implement, so that language has been removed from the staff identification policy, but everything else remains the same, so we'll just need to revote on that amended policy with the update of removing that clause.
Great. So do you want to take these one at a time, and
Certainly.
we'll start with the cash handling policy? Do we have a motion to adopt that?
I move to adopt that.
Judy? And Denise seconds. All in favor, raise your hand.
Wait a second, you need to call for discussion, and I have a couple of items that need to be corrected on the cash handling policy.
Okay.
What are your comments, Bunny?
On page 2, the top paragraph, it says the patron must have paid for the lost item at the PPL. The can be eliminated there.
Okay.
In the next paragraph, I double-checked the procedure with our circulation supervisor, and she apprised me of the correct procedure, and I wanted to correct that paragraph. Okay, it says reimbursements for found items must be within a year after the bill was paid. Authorized staff will make the refund by the same method as the original payment. The staff person attaches the refund receipt to the original receipt for the paid amount and files it. The authorized staff will also enter the refund in the Carroll system. And then the rest of the paragraph is fine. If the original payment was made online, the patron must claim the refund within 120 days from MCLS, which handles payment. PPL staff will follow MCL's policy and procedure to initiate the process.
Do you have that, Megan?
Can you, I was going to say, Bunny, can you email me that language? That would be great.
I can send you the text of that, Megan.
That would be
sure.
great, thank you.
Okay, another thing is there's under cash register errors, the second to the last sentence needs to be replaced with all no sale openings of the register, and I can send you the text of this too, will be tracked by the receipt inserted into the slot at the front of the cash register drawer with the reason for the no sale ring written on the back of the cash register receipt, for example, making change. And the rest of it's fine. On section F, the last full sentence, it says at the end of the last shift of the day, the designated staff person will run a transaction tape, prepare the cash register till with $80 in seed money for the next day's operations, comma, and lock the register. Paragraph after that, it should be, the first sentence should be locks the pouch in the safe. The pouch is missing there. Let's see. The last paragraph of section H should be the employee will then record the total and initial and date the tape noting any overage or underage amounts on the log and 1 period at the end of that. In the first paragraph of section I, the second sentence, deposits include cash plus a deposit slip. And in the second paragraph, the first line, that employee, not employees. And then the very last line of that paragraph, prepare the cash register for a new month of transactions. In section J, the second line, the employee, it says WO now, that should be who. And in section K, wherever it says library clerk 2, that should be office clerk 2. And then the first line of that, who forwards them, I think it should be, right now it says the. And then the very last paragraph of that updates, you can leave the out, PPLs, donations, and memorials documents accordingly. And I can send all these corrections to you, Megan.
All right, great, thank
You
you.
don't have to record them now.
Would you like to move that we approve as amended?
We should move as amended this policy.
Okay.
Sorry.
And,
I'm happy to second.
and Denise still seconds. Okay. All in favor? It's unanimous, thank you. And the employee identification policy?
So am I allowed to make the motion?
You are allowed to make the
All right.
motion.
All right, then I move that we approve the amended staff identification policy as distributed.
Is there a second? Melissa?
We vote?
Yes, we will vote.
Oh, okay.
Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Signify by raising your hand. Again, unanimous, thank you. Do we have any communications, or, no, we don't, okay. Bunny, it's time for the director's report.
Any questions or comments on my portion of the report?
I have a question, Bunny. I noticed in all of the programming continues to be virtual. Is there any talk among you and the staff about bringing back some programming to the library for in-person programming now that things are opening up?
Yes, we started talking about that this morning in light of the new information that's come out of the state, so we're in preliminary talks about that. We probably won't see anything this summer except for the summer reading game, participation in person and the celebrations surrounding that and the other children's programming around that.
But the children's programming, I'm sorry, the children's programming is not in person, right, this summer? It's all virtual except for one program.
They will be coming to the library. Actually, we're setting up outside the library to pick up to interact with the library staff for the reading game.
But they will not be participating inside the library, is that correct?
That's right.
And there will be no programs for adults inside,
Not in person, no.
even with all the restrictions lifted?
We don't have those restrictions lifted from the town yet, and no, most of the libraries are holding back on committing to that until at least the fall.
Okay. Does anybody have any other questions for Bunny?
Bunny, I have a question about the Friends. They are in dire.
That's a topic.
Oh, okay, sorry.
That's coming up.
It's coming up, I guess. I don't have any questions right now.
I saw one of the first items on your report was that, I don't have it in front of me, the employee that was looking at the more positive language.
Yeah. Yes.
How is he planning to survey the community?
He's going to be working up a survey with the help of his professor and the library staff that is assisting him in that. That would be the head of circulation and Miriam Arnold, and I'm involved in that too. And he'll be distributing that at the circulation desk primarily.
Okay.
And what format are you using for that? Are you using a Google Doc or a Survey Monkey or just
It's
a
going
piece of paper?
Hard copy and a QR code, and I don't think they've determined what form they're going to use, but probably Google Forms.
So if we did do Survey Monkey, you might be able to use Survey Monkey for that as well.
That's a possibility.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any other questions?
Bunny, is any of the staff, I know you said that the board is welcome to march on the 4th of July parade, but is any of the staff marching?
Yeah, I'm marching. The 2 children's librarians are marching. One of our subs is marching. One of our library assistants is marching. I don't have the list right in front of me. I can't remember everybody, but there are half a dozen of us or so that'll be marching.
Do you think it's worth posting on social media or inviting any of the families to march with you?
I'll remind Miriam to do that tomorrow. We sent it out on our email newsletter. We haven't gotten any takers on that yet, but it's been out there. But I'll have Miriam post it on social media again.
Bunny, I know Peggy O'Neill said that she was a volunteer coordinator. When we had volunteers, how many volunteers did you usually utilize? Do you remember?
We probably had on the books 50. They weren't all constant volunteers. A lot of them, that included a lot of our teen volunteers that help out with young adult and children's programs. We had a few regulars that came in, maybe that amounted to a dozen or so people who would come in regularly to help mend books and read shelves and do some of the other regular tasks, assist Kim Catalanello with her collections. That's probably the extent of the regular people that we had.
Okay. Good
Are you
information.
using any teen volunteers for your summer reading program this year, or just staff?
I know that the 2 new children's librarians were talking with the young adult librarian to arrange for that, and I haven't had an update on whether they were able to successfully recruit anybody for that.
Okay. Are there any other questions for Bunny? This is under new business because it happened since our last meeting, but Bunny and I toured the library with Chris Lopez and an associate who was a lovely young woman from Plan Architects with the idea of updating our facility. And it was really an interesting day. We got to see a lot of different parts of the library that I had never been in before. And I thought that was really a wonderful thing. And they have asked for, they had received a copy of the original plans for the library from Jim Costello at the town. And they had asked for a copy of the plans for the addition that was added in the year 2000, when the size of the library was doubled. We have 28,200 square feet, correct, Bunny?
100. 28,100.
28,100 square feet. And they want to come up with a plan, but they needed the new drawings. And I just heard from Jim Costello today that they found the plans. They're having them scanned at MRB, and they are going to email those to Chris and his associate. And what they are going to do is give us a proposal for doing a feasibility study. So hopefully we will have that to review for our July meeting. And also, I just wanted to say, one of the things that some of the trustees have mentioned is that we seem to have a lot of information to go through, especially as it's coming up with possible plans, discussing details that are kind of tedious, going through questions to a survey, and that perhaps we should have work sessions in alternate weeks. Is there any feeling about that idea? These would not be meetings where we would decide anything, but only that we would find out information. Does anyone have any comments?
This would be work sessions among us in addition to this meeting, right? I think that's a good idea, just sometimes, because sometimes these meetings get.
It's hard to discuss in
Yes.
detail at length sometimes in this forum.
I think that's a good idea.
Plus the number of emails that go back and
Yes.
forth between us
Yeah.
is open to interpretation, though they're all
our duty.
positive, but there's many of them. I think the in-person opportunity to talk to us face-to-face
And see 'em.
makes it much more viable for us to really get an idea of, the direction we want to go and how we want to do that.
Okay. We should have a motion.
We like motions.
We like motions. We like to make things official. Melissa?
I move that we start outside sessions of.
Well,
or
work
sessions?
work sessions where we only are doing information gathering.
Okay,
We
for
are not
information
making-
gathering only.
Yes. Is there a second? Naraj, thank you. All in favor? Okay, unanimous. Thank you. I have this under continuing, and Judy and Rachel and I met with two of the Friends this past week. They are concerned about their book sale, and they would like to have an abbreviated book sale this year. The dates that they have proposed are September 13th through 15th, and the sale would be for adult fiction only. What they need from the library is a commitment that they can use the Bremen Room and the Story Room.
Actually, it's kind of the other way around. They did ask the rec department if they could use the community room, and Andrew was agreeable to that if he could have someplace to temporarily put the programs he had intended to put in the community room. I told him I could let him know about whether we could transfer his programs to the Bremen Room. And I think I haven't known until this morning when we got that good news. I think we will be able to make the commitment to Andrew to be able to use the Bremen Room, which will free up the community room for the Friends to use that. It's going to give them more space and the kind of entrance and exit traffic pattern that they want.
They were not aware of that when we met with them. They had talked to Andrew, and he said that he had been using the larger space for programming because the programs that usually went into smaller rooms needed more space for social distancing. So you have later information. They were thinking that they had if they could have the story room, and the bottom line is, can you commit that they can have that? And we can let them know, because they have a list of things they have to do in order for this sale to happen. And if we go much longer, it won't be an issue anymore.
Yeah, I'll let them know. Ellen comes in on Wednesday. She's the treasurer. She's the one who talked to me about it the last time, and I can certainly let her know to take it back to the committee.
Well, they're expecting
if I
an
talk
email.
to Andrew tomorrow.
They're expecting an email from me tomorrow. Barbara and Diane.
I can't,
Okay.
Who is to receive the email?
Barbara Long and Diane, I have her email address.
Diane Robbins?
Yes.
Diane Robbins, okay.
They're expecting, that they want to know tomorrow
Okay,
because
I
they have a
I
lot
can
of
check
things
with-
to do.
I can check with Andrew tomorrow and
Okay.
see. Either way, we can give them the Bremen room and the story hour room if that doesn't work out, but it would work out better to have the community room.
Right, they just wanted a commitment from you as a contingency if they couldn't
One
have
way
the
or another,
community
yeah,
room.
I think we can do that now that we have the good news from this morning.
Okay. They are concerned because although you might have 50 volunteers on your books, they only have 6 to 10 members
That's true.
who are able to volunteer. And this is something that we can talk about in a work session. How can we help the Friends?
If you talk to the Friends sooner than we have a work session, my daughter is on, in the Leo's Club at Penfield High School, which is a
Yes.
volunteer organization, and we talked about maybe using the Leo's Club for the Friends to help with their sale. So you can definitely offer that to them and let them know that
Oh,
they
that
would
would
be
be,
available.
that would be great, but I think they're talking about the fact that they just don't have that many people who are able to
They're
help.
talking
come in
about
and help.
some consistent, long-term
Oh,
help.
oh, I see. I'm sorry. I thought you meant for the
yes,
sale.
No,
Leo
but
Club,
that would be,
Oh, okay.
the
The planning.
Boy Scouts, all of those, they are very reticent to have that kind of help. But the fact that they are down to really 6 people, and they support
All the
Yeah.
programming.
$30,000 of, is that correct,
About their-
Bunny? About that, of our programming support from the Friends.
All of the programming.
Just a little correction to that, they do supply $30,000 roughly every
Right.
year, depends on how much they, probably about half of that goes for programming, the rest of it is to maintain some of the things that they started, and they pay for the ongoing support of those things.
Well, they
Not
pay-
that that's not important or wouldn't be missed, but it's, yeah, the programming is really only about half that amount.
well, they were saying that they would like to get credit for the programming that they do pay for, and they feel that they have not gotten credit. They have the books that are for sale in the library, and the books are called surplus books, and they are books that the Friends are selling to pay for the programming, for the Rochester passes and so forth. And they just,
The community doesn't know
the
that.
community does not know that. And it's,
We legally have to, and that's up to them. They run that little area. If they want to call it surplus, that's fine. What they can't do is call them books for sale, because if they sell the books, we have to collect sales tax on that, and they're reluctant to get involved in collecting sales tax, so they have to frame it in the form of a donation. We also put in our monthly flyer and at the front of the room at every in-person program, and we've been announcing it in the virtual programming too, that anytime there's sponsorship in the form of money expended to produce that program, it has been supplied by the Friends of the Library. So they're mistaken that we haven't been acknowledging that.
they've just looked for it in the flyer, the monthly programming
Yeah.
sheets, and they
It's
have
in
not
the,
seen.
it's in the flyer, it's in the flyer.
Okay. Well, I'm just telling you what they've said, so.
Okay.
That is their perception. They are also rethinking the whole sales tax thing, because one of the reasons they only had one book sale was that if they have one book sale a year, they don't have to charge sales tax, but if they have multiple sales, they have to charge sales tax. And so they've been trying to decide whether or not that's worth the trade-off. Not something we care to get into, but, it's like, they could tell us what they're thinking. But they need to order their tables. That seems to be their big concern, because they need tables to put the books on. And they're not easy to reserve. That they feel like they're kind of behind on that. So if you can let them know tomorrow, that would be great.
I'll check with Andrew tomorrow.
And then we're down to the claims payment. Who was the auditor this month?
I was. Just make the motion? Deanna, correct me if my figure is wrong. I believe this is the corrected number, but I move that we pay the vouchers in the amount of $7,399.25.
A second.
All in favor? Okay. Thank you. We will be having an executive session after this meeting, and Deanna, I will send you an email tomorrow to let you know what time the executive session ended. Thank you for your help.
Do we need to announce the next auditor for next month?
Oh, who is the next auditor? That would be
O'Reilly.
Denise. I should know, I end up typing the names in alphabetical order every time I send out an email. So, is there any other business before the board? Then I'll call the meeting adjourned. Thank you very much. Thank you, Bunny. Thank you, Deanna. Thank you, Linda. Have a good evening.
You too.